Hi everybody, nicholefecteau from Better Homes and Gardens Masiello group here. And today I want to talk to you about how a real estate agent, or I should preface this by saying an experienced real estate agent, prices your home. I've priced a bunch of homes lately and the sellers always want to know how I do it. And I think it's an appropriate conversation right now because the CEO of Zillow on Wednesday said that Zillow cannot accurately forecast home prices. And that's something that real estate agents have known for a while. And I think consumers have always been super hopeful because Zestimates tend to be higher than expected and sometimes higher than what experienced realtors tell them. So how I go about pricing a house. For instance, I did two houses yesterday. I did a big house in North Berwick that was a fixer-upper, and I did a multi-million-dollar luxury property on the ocean in Kennebunkport yesterday. And the process is the same for both. So the first thing I do is get all of the information about the property that I can. And sometimes I will go out to the house. So for instance, the property in North Berwick, I went out to the house, I met with the seller, I walked through the house, I took lots of notes. This isn't the notes on that house, but like these are, typically I do them on my iPad, but my iPad was dead. So these are notes on a house. I bring it back to my house or my office. I pull the tax card on it. If you don't know how to pull a tax card, I have a video on how to do research on your own property. But I pull the tax card, I pull the deed, I look into it and see what's there. So one cool thing you might not know is that if you've done work to your house and you haven't pulled a permit for it, it's probably not on your tax card. And if it's not on your tax card, an appraiser is not going to count it in an appraisal. So in order to get credit for that, like if your basement is finished and nobody knows about it, or the tax man doesn't know about it, you're gonna have to get that added to your tax card so that it comes up on your appraisal. Anyway, I wanna go back to pricing the house. So I get all the information I can about your house. I pop it into my computer. I've got a couple of different programs depending on where your house is that I will use. Then I go on MLS and I look at what has sold. And right now I'm looking back about 6 months. For the luxury, for the multi-million-dollar house, I went back a year just to kind of get a better gauge of the market. But in general, like North Berwick, Berwick, South Berwick, Lebanon, Elliott, I'm going back 6 months, sometimes just 3 months because the market has changed so much. And I'm looking for similar homes that have sold. So if you have a Cape, I'm looking at Capes. If you have a contemporary, I'm looking at contemporaries. You have to compare like to like. That's what an appraiser does. And the most important thing is that your house almost always has to appraise for what it's under agreement for. So it's so important that your real estate agent looks at the value with the appraisal in mind. If anybody is financing this house, it's more than likely going to have to appraise for what it's under contract for. So you want to get your list price for as close to what we think it's going to appraise for. So I find all these comparable homes and we look at sold homes. We don't look at homes that are on the market unless there's absolutely no comps out there. We look at sometimes homes that are under agreement. From there, we take these homes and then we do a comparison and we add and subtract values. So this is where it gets technical and this is where experience counts. For instance, if I have a 1,000 square foot Cape that sold for $300,000 and I have a 1,300 square foot Cape that sold or that I'm pricing out, I need to find out what the value of those 300 square feet are. And there's calculations that we use and experienced real estate agents can get their hands on appraisals so we know exactly what adjustments appraisers are using. And we adjust to the value of that sold property so that it matches the property that we are trying to price. It's a formula. There's a lot of formulas and there's a lot of math involved and it takes time and it takes focus and it takes experience. It takes the right knowledge. So it takes knowing that a garage space, so every garage space in Berwick for sure, this is an appraiser is using $5,000 as the value of that. So if I have a house with a 2-car garage that sold and I'm pricing the exact same house with a 1-car garage, the value of it is $5,000 less than the 2-car garage. That's a value. So we know all of these values. if your agent is doing their homework, they know these values, they're studying it. I have a chart of values for different towns. So I know in South Berwick what a square foot costs when comparing houses. And I know in Berwick what a square foot costs. And the numbers are different. Isn't that cool? So that's how we do it. And then we really just do the math, subtract it all out, come out with a figure. From that figure, that's like a recommended price. Then I go into MLS and I look at what's on the market currently. What's pending, how quickly did it go under agreement, and how that compares to the value that we have for your house. And that's how we kind of fit it in the market so that you're competitive, but you're getting the most amount of money. We don't want to leave any money on the table. If you have questions about the value of your house, I actually don't have to go out to the house. For instance, the house in Kennebunkport, I didn't need to go out to that house. We did a electronic meeting. I got all the information I needed, and I was able to accurately price that house. So you don't need to physically go out to the house, just need all the information about it. Send me a message or text me at 207-251-9535. I'm happy to help you with the free value of your house.